Trier, on the Moselle River, a city of stone and afterlife. 4 centuries of Roman power pressed into gates, bridges, baths, and a throne hall large enough to swallow a modern apartment block. Emperors build it. Invasions bruise it. Administrations vanish. And then, quietly, the city keeps going anyway, not as an imperial machine, but as a place where people still need bread, water, shelter, worship, and safety. Using advanced AI to bring motion to archaeological reconstructions, maps, and surviving monuments, we won't just describe this world, you'll watch it, contract, rewire, and survive. From a late Roman imperial residence to a smaller medieval bishop city living inside Roman stone, this is Trier after the empire. Let's begin where its rise truly starts. Long before Trier became an imperial capital, it was Augusta Treverorum, a Roman city founded near an existing Celtic settlement of the Treveri tribe around the late 1st century BC. Its location was strategic. The Moselle River connected it to the Rhine, and from there to wider Roman trade networks. In the early centuries of Roman rule, Trier developed like a typical, prosperous provincial city. It had paved streets laid out in a grid. It had baths, forums, temples, an amphitheatre, stone houses for the wealthy, timber housing for the poor, workshops lining busy roads, traders moving wine, ceramics, tools, and agricultural products. This was not yet an imperial capital, but it was stable. It was integrated into a vast economic system. Taxes flowed, goods moved, roads were maintained, law and administration were predictable. The city's population likely grew steadily during these centuries. While exact figures are debated, it was clearly one of the major urban centers north of the Alps. And then the Roman Empire changed. In the late 3rd century, the Roman Empire faced serious instability. External pressure along the Rhine frontier increased. Internal political crises weakened central authority. The imperial system was reorganized under Diocletian and later Constantine. Power became more regionalized. Emperors did not rule from Rome alone. They ruled closer to the frontiers. Trier became one of those centers. By the late 200s and early 300s AD, Trier was effectively an imperial residence in the west. Constantius Chlorus, and later Constantine the Great, used it as a base. Administrative offices expanded. Construction projects multiplied. The Aula Palatina, the massive audience hall still standing today, was built as a throne room for imperial ceremony. The imperial baths were begun on a monumental scale. The city walls were reinforced. Trier became home to the Praetorian Prefecture of Gaul, one of the highest administrative offices in the Western Empire. This changed daily life. An imperial capital requires supply chains. Soldiers need pay. Officials need housing. Clerks need space to work. Merchants gain customers. Workshops expand production. The river becomes busier. The streets become louder. Trier was no longer just a regional city. It was a nerve center of power. But that status depended on the stability of the empire itself. The Western Roman Empire did not collapse overnight, but the early 400 sets brought repeated instability across Gaul. Military crises intensified, authority fragmented. Trier experienced episodes of conflict and disruption. Exact details of every raid remain debated among historians, but archaeological evidence shows decline in maintenance and contraction in urban activity during this period. The imperial court stopped using Trier as a base. High-level administration shifted elsewhere. The city lost its primary function. When an imperial capital loses the court, it loses spending, it loses demand, it loses political gravity. The population likely declined significantly. Grand public building projects stopped. Infrastructure deteriorated. Maintenance became selective rather than comprehensive. Large bath complexes, expensive to operate, fell out of use. Some monumental spaces were abandoned or repurposed. Streets were no longer uniformly paved and maintained. The city did not vanish, but it shrank. By the late 5th century, Trier became part of the Frankish realm. This was not a clean break with the past. Roman habits did not disappear instantly. Latin remained in use in church and administration. Many structures remained standing. But the framework changed. Instead of an imperial governor representing distant emperors, local authority increasingly centered on the bishop. The cathedral complex, rooted in late Roman foundations, became the city's anchor. The church was not only a religious institution, it was a landowner, a political mediator, and a stabilizing force. It preserved literacy, it administered property, it organized charity. Daily life adjusted to this new structure. Markets were smaller and more regional. Craft production continued, but at reduced scale. Housing became more compact and defensive. Timber construction increased as stone was reused from Roman monuments. The Porta Nigra survived in part because it became associated with religious use in the Middle Ages. Other Roman buildings were dismantled for materials. Stone was practical. Survival mattered more than preservation. The city's center of gravity moved from imperial bureaucracy to ecclesiastical authority, and that shift ensured continuity. By the early medieval period, Trier was no longer competing with Rome or Milan. It was not an imperial headquarters, but it was stable. Its position along the Moselle still mattered. River trade continued, linking the region to the Rhine and beyond. Agricultural production in the surrounding countryside supported the city. Wine production in the Moselle Valley remained significant. The cathedral precinct became the spiritual and political core. Clergy held influence. Monastic institutions developed. The city functioned within the evolving framework of the early medieval German kingdoms. Urban life during this period was different from Roman Trier. Public baths no longer operated on imperial scale. Large administrative offices were gone, but workshops still existed. Bakers still rose before dawn. Artisans still shaped iron and leather. Farmers still brought produce to market. The city lived within Roman bones. Monumental walls and structures provided ready-made defenses and building materials. Roman roads influenced street patterns. The basilica, once an imperial throne hall, was later reused for Christian purposes. Meaning changed. Stone remained. The problem was not simply invasion. It was systemic contraction of imperial administration in the West. The change was structural. Trier lost its imperial court and bureaucratic density. It transitioned into a regional ecclesiastical center within Frankish and later medieval political systems. The consequence was visible in three ways. First, physical contraction. The city became smaller and more concentrated. Second, functional repurposing. Roman monuments shifted from imperial use to defensive, domestic, or religious roles. Third, institutional continuity through the church. The bishopric preserved urban identity and prevented total collapse. Trier did not die because it retained strategic location, reusable infrastructure, and institutional leadership. Modern Trier feels open and curated. Visitors walk easily between the Porta Nigra, the basilica, the cathedral, and Bath ruins. It appears coherent. In the early medieval centuries, that density would have felt oversized, too much monumental stone for a smaller population. Today, the Aula Palatina stands as a preserved architectural marvel. In late antiquity, it symbolized imperial authority. Later, it served religious functions. Its meaning evolved with political reality. The imperial baths are archaeological remains now. In Roman times, they were intended as monumental leisure infrastructure. In later centuries, their unfinished structures became fortifications. The Roman bridge still crosses the Moselle. Trade still moves along the river. That continuity is not romantic, it is logistical. The skeleton of the Roman city shaped the medieval one. When Trier lost the empire, it did not lose urban life. It compressed, it simplified, it adapted. The imperial administrative machine vanished. The bishop's city emerged. Roman monuments became medieval resources. Infrastructure was reused. Power relocated rather than disappeared. Over centuries, Additional layers accumulated Romanesque churches, Gothic elements, early modern developments. Modern Trier exists because post-Roman Trier survived. The lesson is direct. Cities do not disappear simply because empires fall. They transform if they retain strategic geography, institutional continuity, and adaptable infrastructure. Walk through Trier today, and you are walking through conversion, not collapse. An imperial capital without an empire did not become empty ground. It became something smaller, tougher, slower, but continuous. And that continuity is why Trier is still here.